Bethany Anne Decker was born in Fredericksburg, Virginia. She was bright and hardworking, studying global and economic change at George Mason University, as well as working a full-time job. Whilst at university, she started a relationship with Army National Guardsman Emil Decker. She became pregnant, and the pair married in 2009, welcoming a baby boy soon after. Due to his job in the military, he was often deployed to Afghanistan, and when her husband was away, Bethany was able to balance her responsibilities with the help of her in-laws, who would watch her son while she worked and went to school. The marital bliss was not to last, however, as while working as a waitress, she met an immigrant from Bolivia called Ronald Roldan. And before long, the two were pursuing an affair. Bethany and Emil's marital woes began to show. She moved out into an apartment on Orchard Grass Terrace in Ashburn, Virginia. Ronald moved in soon after, and a relationship proved toxic. Ronald was extremely controlling. He would contact her throughout the day, demanding she send pictures of where she was and who she was with. Bethany was trapped, and her family started thinking of ways to get her out. But by the end of the year, Bethany had fallen pregnant again. As she'd maintained a romantic relationship with Emil while he was on leave, the father of her child remains unclear. After returning from deployment in January of 2011, Emil and Bethany went on holiday to Hawaii. After coming back, they stayed with Emil's parents, who were unaware of the strains on their marriage. The next morning, January 29th, Emil saw Bethany before she went back to the apartment she shared with Ronald. She called him to work to confirm what shift she would be working the following week, and Ronald says he saw her that afternoon. Emil was redeployed on 2 February, and Bethany did not come to the airport to say goodbye, and her absence was put down to their relationship problems. This was not rare. People could often go a few days without hearing from Bethany, as her life was a busy balancing act of parenting, school, and work. She remained active on Facebook and was still sending messages to friends. However, it was these messages that would arouse suspicion. A few of Bethany's friends contacted her mother, Kim Nelson, to explain that they had received messages from Bethany's account, but they did not believe she was the one writing and sending them. On February 19th, Kim asked her parents to visit Bethany and Ronald's apartment to see if she was okay. They noticed that her car was still in the parking lot, but it looked abandoned, dusty, with a flat tire, and parked at an awkward angle. After banging on the front door and not getting a response, panic began to set in. They raised the alarm and reported her missing. Initial inquiries gravely concerned investigators. Her bank accounts had not been touched. Her phone records showed that it had not been used since her last known whereabouts of January 29th. She had failed to turn up at work and had not been seen at her university. It quickly became apparent that there was a love triangle, so Emil and Ronald became focuses of the investigation. After contacting Emil, he returned home to speak to the police. Ronald explained to investigators that he thought she had simply returned to live with her parents. Police looked into Ronald's background further and discovered he had a string of previous convictions, including identity theft and destruction of property after smashing a woman's car window. He was not able to give consistent answers when questioned about when he had seen Bethany's car parked outside. As Ronald had moved out, they obtained a warrant to search his new address. They seized phones and a laptop, but no new evidence would come of this. During this time, Emil was granted a divorce from the missing Bethany. Ronald has only ever made one public statement on the disappearance of Bethany Decker, which he made through his attorney. My client remains hopeful and prays daily that Bethany will come home. He has complete confidence they are working hard on the case. In the years after her disappearance, Ronald began a relationship with a woman named Vicky Willoughby. Like his relationship with Bethany Decker, it quickly became abusive and controlling. During a fight, Vicky pulled a gun on Ronald. He wrestled the weapon away from her and shot her 3 times. Vicky would miraculously survive, but would lose an eye and live with the emotional scars forever. No charges were filed against her, as it was deemed that she had acted in self-defense. He pleaded guilty to 2 felony assault charges and was sentenced to 6 to 8 years in prison. She would talk about her experiences on an episode of the hit TV show Dr. Phil, and she said in an interview with the Daily Mail, once Ronald has served his sentence, proceedings will begin to deport him from the United States. There is no evidence that Bethany ever gave birth to the baby she was carrying at the time of her disappearance, and no trace of her has ever been found. If you have any information relating to the disappearance or whereabouts of Bethany Decker, please contact the relevant authorities. The mysterious circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Marcia Brantley have captured the attention of the press and public for years. Marcia Brantley was born Marcia Ellen Rader on 28 February 1959. Originally from Illinois, she was an only child, with a large extended family scattered all over the United States. Marcia was private and kept a small circle of friends. She was friendly and strong-willed with a take-charge, no-nonsense attitude. She loved animals and would foster dogs in need of homes. Her biggest passion, however, was writing. She formed a writing club, dreamed of publishing her own works, and kept a blog that detailed the ins and outs of her life. On 31 March 2000, Marcia married Donnie Brantley. In her own words, it was a day filled with joy. I was bustling around and getting ready for a wedding. Mine. Family arrived at intervals throughout the day, meals were shared, and then there was the big event itself. It was great. The happiest day of my life. These words are taken from a blog post that she wrote for their wedding anniversary in 2009. In the same year as her wedding, tragedy would strike, as she would lose both her parents within weeks of each other to cancer. In the years that followed, she was active on her blog called Magpie's Nest, doing everything from film reviews to lamenting about the harsh Tennessee weather. Her blog gave an insight into her daily life with Donnie, as did her Facebook page. My wonderful husband brought me roses home at lunch, just because. In the comments she wrote, he just does stuff like that. He's a keeper. But sometimes, what we see online is not always a true representation of reality. According to her friend Nancy Grill, who was in the writing club with Marcia, it was obvious that their relationship had underlying problems. According to Nancy, Donnie could be antisocial and didn't appear interested in the same things as Marcia. On the 2nd of June 2009, Marcia posted to Facebook, saying, "Are all the planets out of alignment? Why is everything that can go wrong going wrong for the past month?" One person commented, "Except for the roses your hubby gave you, just because." Marcia never replied. After this, no more Facebook posts were made. No blogs were published. Nobody heard from her. However, it wasn't until July or August that her absence began to show. She was often seen out walking her foster dogs, and neighbors noted they hadn't seen her do this for a while. Growing ever more concerned, a neighbor, Phyllis Dodd, went and knocked on the Brantleys' front door. When Donnie answered, she asked where Marcia had gone, saying that she hadn't been seen recently. Donnie said that she'd left him, and they were getting a divorce. Phyllis told her hairdresser, Kelly DeLude, who informed a local attorney, Jerry Hoffert, in October. He passed the information on to District Attorney General Steve Bebb, and before long, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations was involved. By this time, it was November. Investigators had little to go on. Marcia was by all accounts a private person, and nearly 5 months had passed since she'd last been seen. Donnie maintained when talking to investigators that she had left of her own accord and was intending on divorcing him. But alarm bells were beginning to ring for investigators, and they became increasingly concerned for Marcia's welfare. An initial search did nothing to quell their fears. Her car remained parked at the house. Her clothes were in her wardrobe. All her possessions were where she had left them. Police could find no evidence of a woman intending to leave her spouse. Friends were also adamant that she would not have left her foster dogs behind. Investigators did not believe that she'd left by choice. They found receipts showing that Donnie had purchased items that they theorized could be used to dispose of a body, including a plastic drop cloth, a welder's kit, a tarp, and a pressure washer. During their search, an unusual email came to light. Marcia had written to the members of her writing club. He would be one of her closest friends. Reggie J. said it was a big shock, because when she formed this group, her one criteria was that, however, according to another friend, she had been planning on leaving the group. The friend hadn't told anyone, as Marcia had said it in confidence. Authorities could not trace the origin of the email, and some questioned if it had even been sent by Marcia. Marcia also allegedly took around $110,000 that she had hidden in her home. She apparently left a note on her car, saying the note was not preserved as evidence by the police, and they did not believe there was any money hidden inside the home. In 2012, the home of Marcia and Donnie Brantley was searched again, this time with the assistance of cadaver dogs. Police believed that foul play had played a role in her disappearance, but no new evidence or clues turned up. 2013 brought a new twist to the case. Despite having no body and no trace of Marcia, law enforcement announced that they were indicting Donnie Brantley on charges of first-degree murder. The prosecution outlined two motives: infidelity and financial troubles. Donnie ran a home repair company, and after the housing market crash of 2009, he had little in the way of business. After Marcia vanished, Donnie had her power of attorney and could have signed her name to sell his assets. However, 10th Judicial District Attorney General Steve Crump said that they could find no evidence of him using her power of attorney for financial gain. While Crump said Donnie hadn't used her power of attorney, 1 month after her last known whereabouts, her signature was used to sell the home repair business. One handwriting expert said that she had signed in her own name, but the police disagreed. They requested it be sent to a second expert for examination. This second expert determined that Marcia did not write that signature. A key piece of evidence surrounded Marcia's phone. Cell phone analysis showed that incoming calls stopped on June 2, 2009. Donnie said he had recently bought her a new phone, and she had taken that one with her when she left. However, it would later emerge that Donnie had used that phone to contact a dating line, despite saying it was in Marcia's possession. They said he was, quote, looking for something different in his marriage, evidenced by the fact that he had also used online dating for several months. However, Donnie's attorney said he did not do this until after his wife had left. The prosecution also referred to a kiss he had shared with an ex-girlfriend before the disappearance of his wife, but the defense argued it never went any further. According to Marcia's friends, she would not have left over an affair, but would have been heartbroken and furious. They said that the emotional attachment she had to her house was strong. It had been built by her parents and was solely in her name. They argued she would have simply kicked him out rather than gone. Within about a week of Marcia's disappearance, both the prosecution and the defense stated that Donnie had allegedly hand-delivered a card to his ex-girlfriend, with whom he had shared the kiss. It read, "Things are better for me now." The prosecution argued that the timing and the contents of the card was proof that Donnie was the cause of his wife's disappearance, that he had killed her and was ready to move on. The defense rubbished those claims, saying there were no sinister undertones to the card. He merely meant he was ready to reconnect and form a friendship. They did continue to see each other for a short time after, and according to the defense, his ex-girlfriend never heard Donnie speak ill of Marcia. When talking about the receipts found during the search, the prosecution said these, along with a ticket for a landfill, and Marcia's body not being found, was evidence of a premeditated, calculated murder, which in the state of Tennessee you must prove beyond a reasonable doubt to secure a conviction. The defense said the receipts were for items he would purchase as part of his home repair business. The inconsistency in Donnie's story was another key argument for the prosecution. They alleged that Donnie had changed his story several times, and the investigators said he had misled them about where their camper van was. The police said he had given different versions of events to neighbors, saying she was either living in the van or she had gone out west. The camper van was key for the prosecution, but there are conflicting reports as to where it was eventually found. One thing is certain, is that Donnie had told investigators that the van was parked at a campground. However, when the police went and followed this lead, it wasn't there. The defense said this was not Donnie lying, but a miscommunication. He said that he often kept the van in a storage facility or with his parents. The police said they had found it within his parents' farm in Georgia, and when they searched it, no trace of a crime or Marcia was found. The defense argued that investigators had used bad practice and planted seeds of bias and doubt before conducting interviews. They said that before asking neighbors for their opinion of what kind of man Donnie was, they had told them he had kept changing his story. In an interview with Bradley County Sheriff's Office, this is what Nancy Grill had to say. "My initial feeling was that Marcia had deliberately left and was going to go away and be that best-selling author. But the longer she was gone, and when I talked to the TBI, and they told me that Donnie had told so many lies, then I began to wonder." When the police had brought in cadaver docs in 2012, the Judicial District under District Attorney General Steve Bebb would be hit by allegations of police misconduct and corruption. Defense lawyers said that the district had a reputation for not honoring the rights of defendants and withholding evidence. Bebb issued a defense, saying he did not know about any malpractice and he would have put a stop to it. When looking for a viable reason for Marcia's disappearance, the defense said that her severe clinical depression could not be ignored. Her medical records highlighted mood swings and that she had been injecting hormones to try and lessen the effects of the depression. Whilst the defense and prosecution argued back and forth, a shocking new twist came. 1 week before he was due to stand trial, the family of Marcia Brantley requested that the charges against Donnie be dropped. They said that if the case wasn't strong enough and he wasn't found guilty, Marcia would never see justice and they would be out of options. As they dropped the charges without prejudice, they could later be refiled if new evidence came to light. In October of 2016, Donnie was again indicted, this time on a second-degree murder charge. The District Attorney General would not say what new evidence, or if indeed any new evidence, had come to light. All court documents that had previously been open to the public have since been expunged, meaning there is no official court record or any evidence of any charges ever being filed against Donnie Brantley. 18 months after being indicted for a second time, it was time to select a jury. However, a new announcement came that all charges against Donnie Brantley would again be dropped. The District Attorney General said he was worried that the case would not make it as far as a jury and that it could not be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Since her last known whereabouts, no trace of Marcia Brantley has ever been found. Her social security number has not been used, no visas have been applied for, and there is no evidence that she left the United States. Her whereabouts remain unknown. If you have any information relating to the disappearance or whereabouts of Marcia Brantley, please contact the relevant authorities. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon, and thank you for watching.